Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, what if I told you that a single hidden truth might just connect every major religion on Earth? I know, it's a huge, bold question, right? But today, we're unpacking a set of seriously intense and complex philosophical texts that try to completely reevaluate the entire spiritual history of humanity. The author of our source material presents this wild, sweeping framework that challenges basically all traditional dogmas. It really pushes us to look at the fabric of reality and, our place in it through a radically different lens.
The historical dialectic and the Secret Torah. All right, let's dive right into this fascinating framework. These texts attempt to completely redefine human history, the very origins of existence, and what spirituality actually means. We'll be exploring what the author calls the historical dialectic alongside this really intriguing concept they call the Secret Torah. Whether you consider yourself deeply religious, strictly secular, or anywhere in between, these ideas are absolutely designed to make you stop in your tracks and question the stories we've all been told about our past.
To get through these dense concepts, we're going to follow the source material's own structure, which borrows from the Hegelian dialectic. So, we'll cover 1. The monad and its partition. 2. Religion as elite control. 3. Prophets in the Secret Torah. 4. How true holiness means being whole. And finally, 5. Achieving the final synthesis. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The monad and its partition. The origins of conflict.
So before we can even begin to understand human history, the texts argue we have to understand the original state of the universe itself. They propose that absolutely everything began as what philosophers call the monad, basically the primary, ultimate, simplest substance. Think of it as a perfect, undivided unity of existence way before any duality or conflict ever existed. It's the ultimate source of everything. But, there's a catch. Because it was perfectly unified, it was also completely solitary. According to the author, the monad actually desired the experience of the other. It wanted to experience a story, to play, to interact. But here's the problem. You can't exactly interact if you are literally the only thing that exists, right?
The author uses this fantastic, super modern metaphor to explain what happened next. They describe the division of the one monad into partitions, like a computer disk is partitioned. I love that analogy. The monad didn't literally shatter into pieces. Instead, it divided itself internally. By creating these partitions, it created the illusion of separation. And just like that, suddenly there is a me and a you. There are subjects and objects. And naturally, whenever you throw competing wills into a shared space, boom, you generate the potential for conflict.
And that brings us to the absolute core engine of the author's philosophy. We started in step 1, the thesis, which was pure, undivided unity. But partitioning the monad thrust us straight into step 2, the antithesis. Now, this transition makes conflict totally endemic and unavoidable. But the text insists this conflict isn't inherently evil. Actually, scratch that. It's more like it acts as the necessary engine for all human experience. Think about it. Just like a movie absolutely needs a villain, or a circuit needs electrical resistance to generate power, existence needs conflict to generate experience. The goal here isn't to go backward. It's to push forward to step 3, which is the synthesis.
Section 2. Religion as elite control, the antithesis phase.
We are currently living deeply inside this antithesis phase right now, and the author makes a massive claim here, that this natural, necessary conflict was actually weaponized by human institutions to gain power. Now, maintaining radical neutrality here, we are looking at a very harsh critique. The text argues that organized religions across the board were essentially designed by elites and priest classes purely as political tools. The source claims these institutions demand arbitrary submission, impose rigid dogmas over actual evidence, micromanage human life, centralize absolute wealth, and use what philosophers call noble lies. But they use these lies not to uplift people, but to enslave the masses. It's framed as a systemic exploitation of our natural state of conflict.
But, and this is crucial, the author notes a profound duality hidden within all of our history. The sources draw this incredibly sharp contrast between those controlling institutions and what they call the Secret Torah, where organized religion relies heavily on external authority, rigid dogmas, strict hierarchies, elite control, and historical manipulation. The Secret Torah is entirely different. It's based on internal authority, radical honesty, universal love, authenticity, and transparent truth. It is the actual liberating message that, supposedly, the institutions have constantly tried to bury.
Moving to Section 3, Prophets in the Secret Torah, the hidden thread.
Even amidst the heavy control and manipulation of that antithesis phase, a counter-message has somehow continually survived.
The author emphatically argues that this secret Torah isn't just, one physical book locked in a dusty vault somewhere. No, it is an underlying truth hidden in plain sight within every text, every culture, and every major religion ever established. The text suggests that true seekers, people who approach life with radical honesty and deep empathy, can actually scavenge this secret Torah from right within the corrupted texts of history. It's like a giant puzzle waiting to be solved.
Looking historically, this really builds chronologically. The source material argues that figures like Akhenaten in Egypt, Zoroaster in Persia, the Buddha in India, and Jesus in the Middle East, alongside figures like Krishna, all independently scavenged and reintroduced this exact same anti-dogmatic teaching throughout time. They weren't trying to create new systems of control. They were desperately trying to wake humanity up to the secret Torah. They were reminding us of our shared origin back in the monad and teaching us how to manage our conflicts through universal love.
Section 4. True holiness means being whole, healing the partition. This brings us to a super radical redefinition of what it actually means to be a spiritual person within this framework. Because if religion is just about control, what is true spirituality? Well, the text uses a really fascinating piece of etymology here. It argues that being holy has absolutely nothing to do with religious obedience or wearing specific robes or reciting dogma. Instead, the author claims that holy literally just means becoming whole. It's the process of integrating your fractured self. Remember that partitioned monad we talked about earlier? Holiness is the personal journey of healing that internal partition.
So, to heal those internal partitions, the source insists we really have to do the hard psychological work. We have to drop our social disguises and all those personas we wear. We have to stop lying to ourselves and to others and start practicing radical honesty. This means fully validating our true, authentic experiences, even the really painful ones, and expressing authentic dissent and truth. It's all about accepting life exactly as it is without denial and integrating every single part of the psyche, not just the parts that society deems acceptable or polite.
And when you truly become whole, your outward behavior shifts dramatically. The texts argue that the simple act of cleaning a floor or cooking a meal with the pure intention of serving others is vastly more sacred than the grandest, most elaborate religious ritual performed for status or ego. The intention to ease the suffering of another partitioned being, that is the ultimate expression of this secret Torah.
Section 5. Achieving the final synthesis, the Eden Protocols. All right, this is the grand resolution of the dialectic. How we collectively transition from the chaotic conflict of the antithesis to the ultimate synthesis. The author proposes a solution they call the Eden Protocols, which relies incredibly heavily on Zen principles. By treating all sentient beings with deep empathy, we bridge the isolation of our partitioned minds. By actively resolving and managing potential conflicts rather than trying to dominate each other, we harmonize competing human wills. And by emulating Zen principles of selflessness, we step into that final dialectical synthesis. It's a state where we remain distinct individuals, sure, but we exist in total, complete harmony.
Now, reaching this synthesis requires a massive shift in how we live our day-to-day lives. It means acting completely without ego. We have to actively suspend our dogmatic judgments of other people, silence that endless internal dialogue of self-pity, and behave with impeccable humility. And I think this is the most beautiful part. The author suggests we must return to a state of pure play. That means engaging with the world not for some selfish ulterior motive or some promised future reward, but simply for the pure joy of the experience, exactly as the monad originally intended when it first partitioned itself.
As you digest these incredibly intense, paradigm-shifting perspectives from our sources, I really want to leave you with this final thought. Ask yourself honestly, are you living an authentic, integrated life right now? Or are you still playing a role assigned by the architect of the partition? Are your beliefs truly your own, forged through radical honesty and real empathy? Or are you simply wearing a mask? What would it take for you to finally drop the disguise and become completely, radically whole? Thank you so much for exploring this with us, and keep seeking that truth hidden right there in plain sight.